Let's talk to Fussy Zaka, who is a well-known name if you're on Twitter, if you're on mainstream media, if you read, if you are into satire. And since we are talking about meme industry, Fussy, welcome to the show. We are talking about the meme republic now. So armed drones over Lahore, sirens going on, and someone is making a joke. What is happening psychologically in that moment, in your opinion, for the person making the joke and for the person laughing at it as well?
So I think with Pakistan, there are a number of things that give us commonalities. And the three big ones are mangoes, trauma bonding, and humor. And right now, trauma bonding seems to be one of the big things. And with trauma bonding, when you have a degree of helplessness with external issues, be it a war as far off as the Middle East or with our neighbor, one of the things that you can do and give some degree of control is humor. I think humor is something that's there as part of our DNA. And that's why we find that, memes and this sense of finding some degree of control, which comes through humor, is something that's become so common. And I also think that in part, this sort of diffusion of technologies that were once much more difficult to understand and to use have become common with our mobile phones. And there's been this proliferation and so much new talent has come out that we've become a meme nation. And it's become our soft power. More and more, at least over the past decade, we've had an information ecosystem that was stacked against Pakistan. Some because of history, some because of our own isolation. And, when we find official channels do not get the kind of uptake, or that there are editorial priorities that already exist in the Western press or the dominant international press, memes been a way of showing our essential humanity. And I think it's become our new soft power.
Has it always been there, or is it something that is becoming more evident with the digital age?
So I think that it's always been there, but it was restricted to drawing rooms in certain places. We had a very tightly controlled dissemination, which existed in the terrestrial era. It increased significantly where we saw a lot of talent when cable news came up and we had a lot of satirical groups that were there. But the talent was far more than official channels could reasonably process. And now what we have is almost in an era of democratic backsliding, we have total democracy, a perfect market, capitalist market almost of attention span, where the jokes seem to rise to the top and they do us a lot of good in really difficult times.
There is a line between a comedy that, as you said, it's trauma bonding that helps people cope, and comedy definitely helps people look away from the facts. Where do you think Pakistani meme culture sits on exactly? Is it truly our representation as a culture, because we are a very warm nature, that's true, or is it truly a psychological behavior unfolding out of all the positions that we have been in as a culture, as a country, geopolitically? How do you look at it?
So I think it's a mix of all of them. And it's very hard for a multi-ethnic country like Pakistan to be represented by one form of humor. When you look at Pakhtun humor that comes out, it's very different. It's insightful, it's incredibly funny, but it has a different nature. When you look at Punjabi humor and that comes out of Karachi, they all bring a different kind of touch to it. Where it sits, I think we've been lucky in terms of issues that tend to be truly national. So if you have something existential like a war with India, you find that a lot of our differences melt into that essential act of defense, because we know that things are very near end point. And for that, I think we find a lot of commonality. But if you do go into, let's say, the domestic side of our memes, there's a lot of partisanship, there's a lot of cruelty, there's a lot of
polarization, even in comedy.
Polarization. Yes, absolutely. And those bring out the worst in us. So I think where we've been probably lucky is that the spotlight has come on international issues where Pakistan has been involved. And I think the best of Pakistan tends to rise to the top there. Domestic ones are another issue.
Well, we are more polarized when it comes to the domestic and internal politics, and we are more coherent and cohesive, I would say, when it comes to the international issues. One thing I noticed in the J.D. Vance memes, they were not cruel at all. They were sharp, though, but they were warm. Is that a choice that Pakistani comedians make consciously, or is it something about the culture itself?
So I think that's really interesting that you point that out, and I probably would assume that J.D. Vance being here for the first time, he's a figure that doesn't have the same polarizing effect because he's less known as Donald Trump. And within Pakistan, the fact that it's a first visit, we were probably much more interested in highlighting sort of our own idiosyncrasies. So you're right. There was less cruelty directed at him, partly because he was not that well-known a figure. There are very few people who know that he was the author of Hillbilly Elegy and that he was a serious writer at one point before his vice presidency took him into a direction that took away any pretense of having an elevated intellect. So for most people, it was just about a Gora coming to Pakistan and looking at all the idiosyncratic things that we have in this country and what he'll be exposed to first. I imagine if Donald Trump came to Pakistan, that would probably demonstrate itself slightly differently.
Yeah.
Because
in a big way?
Stronger opinions. Sorry?
In a big way as compared to J.D. Vance.
Yes, partly because people have much stronger opinions about him.
Yes.
They also know much more about his positions. They know a lot more about his actions. And J.D. Vance, for most people, was a side player to bigger, dance that was happening on the geopolitical stage. So the way that they approached him may be significantly different from how they see Trump. And it may not have the same good humor ribbing that we saw for J.D. Vance. In fact, I'm sure when he came to this country, he would be pretty astonished as to why people almost took him on his own as like this naive Gora who's trying to understand where to get the best secondhand goods.
Right.
But when it comes to Trump, it might be much more insidious than that. Is like how do I take over this plot, or how do I do something else? So I think there's a difference in kind, given the kind of personality that came to Pakistan and also how much knowledge we had
about that person. What is that one meme in particular from the wartime or the recent J.D. Vance visit that you actually wish you had made yourself?
So this is a tweet by Jasser, which I absolutely adored, and I really wish I had both the intellect and creativity to have come up with it. And he said that Asim Munir in Iran and Shehbaz in Saudi Arabia, the last time Shia Sunni were so well balanced was when Alim al-Nain was still on TV.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fasi. Thanks for your time. It was a pleasure having you. Pakistan right now is hosting the diplomatic talks that may determine where Middle East is going. Its army chief is in Tehran. Its prime minister and foreign minister are in Turkey. And the Prime Minister has also met the Saudi Crown Prince. The country is under immense economic pressure. The load shedding is real. The LNG queues are real. The drones over the cities were real too, though in the past. And yet, the same country produced what you just watched, without a budget, without a studio, without anyone asking them to. Just because they saw something and they found the angle and they made it funny and they shared it. In a week where we have talked about blockades and weapons and ceasefire deadlines and the possibility of a war that is very close to over, the memes matter. They are the data. They are a signal about the psychological temperature of a nation that is right now at the center of the world's most important diplomatic moment. And the signal is, we are still here. We are still us. A nation that can laugh like this at drones overhead, at tankers in a blocked strait, is a nation that has not lost its nerve. And right now, in this specific moment, that matters more than most people realize. To Pakistan's meme industry, officially, unrecognized, entirely unsubsidized, magnificently talented, this is for you. Keep going. The world is watching, and for once, it is smiling. This was today's Decode. See you next week.